I had never imagined a single moment could change my perspective on someone so drastically. Life has a funny way of revealing the depths of a person's character at the most unexpected times, and I learned this firsthand through an experience with my stepson, Tyler. My name is Amanda, and I married my husband, Greg, 5 years ago. At the time, his son Tyler was just turning 12. Being a stepmom is never easy, especially when the child already has a strong bond with their biological parent. Greg's ex-wife, Melissa, and I had very different personalities. She was spontaneous, carefree, the fun parent who let Tyler stay up late and eat candy before dinner. I was more structured, organized, and I believed in boundaries and routines. For years, Tyler and I had a respectful but somewhat distant relationship. He was polite but guarded, like he was always keeping a part of himself back when we talked. I never pushed. I figured that when he was ready, he'd open up. Or maybe he never would, and I had come to terms with that. Parenting, even as a step-parent, often means giving your heart and expecting nothing in return. That's why what happened one afternoon completely blindsided me. It was a rainy Saturday in March, and I had just come back from the grocery store. The cold drizzle had soaked through my jacket, my hair was frizzy, and I was juggling 2 heavy bags of food while trying to close the car trunk with my elbow. I must have looked like a mess. I grumbled to myself as I made my way up the driveway, frustrated that Greg wasn't home to help me. He had gone to visit his mother in another state for the weekend, and Tyler was upstairs doing whatever teenage boys do. As I fumbled with the door, it flew open. There stood Tyler, in his flannel pajama pants and a hoodie, holding out his hands to take the bags from me. I blinked. "Hey," he said simply, grabbing the heavier ones without waiting for me to speak. "Let me help." I followed him into the kitchen, still stunned. "Thanks," I said quietly. "No problem," he replied as he placed the bags on the counter and started unpacking. I watched him for a second before shaking off my surprise and helping him put things away. We worked in silence for a few minutes before he cleared his throat. "So, I was thinking of making dinner tonight." Now I really stared. "You cook?" "Kind of," he said, suddenly a little shy. "Well, I watched those cooking videos online. I thought it might be cool to try." A soft smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. "That sounds nice, Tyler. I'd love that." He nodded and pulled out his phone, already looking through a list he had saved. "I thought I'd make baked ziti. That's one of Dad's favorites, right?" I felt my chest tighten a little, not in a painful way, but in that emotional way you feel when something touches your heart. "Yeah," I said. "It is." Tyler turned on some quiet music in the background and set to work. I sat at the table, sipping tea and watching him. He was focused, moving around the kitchen like he'd done it 100 times, even though I knew this was new for him. He chopped garlic, sautéed onions, and even made his own sauce instead of using the Jared kind. The air filled with the comforting aroma of tomatoes, basil, and cheese. As he slid the dish into the oven, he looked over at me. "I know things have been kinda weird between us," he said. "I mean, I guess I never really knew what to say to you." I put my cup down and met his eyes. "It's okay. I didn't want to push you." He leaned against the counter. "I know. And I appreciate that. I was used to it being me and Dad, you know? And when you came along, it felt like everything was changing. I guess I blamed you for that, even if it wasn't fair." His honesty was disarming, and I felt tears pricking at my eyes. I nodded slowly. "That makes sense. I would have felt the same way at your age." He looked down at his hands. "But you've always been there. Like really there. You don't try to replace Mom, and you've never made me feel like I had to pick sides. You always show up, even when I act like I don't care." I couldn't speak for a moment. My heart was full, swelling with something that felt very close to love, the kind of love you build, not the kind that just happens. "I do care, Tyler," I finally said. "I care a lot. I know I'm not your mom, and I never will be. But I'm here. I always will be." The timer on the oven went off, and Tyler smiled, turning back to pull out the bubbling dish. The cheese was golden, the edges slightly crispy, and it smelled divine. We ate together at the table, just the two of us, talking about everything and nothing. It felt natural. Easy. For the first time since I joined this family, I felt like Tyler wasn't just tolerating me, he was letting me in. After dinner, I started to do the dishes, but he stopped me. You sit. I've got this. I laughed. You cooked. I should clean. No, he said, smiling. Tonight, you rest. And just like that, this simple, unexpected gesture, him cooking dinner, opening up, and seeing me not just as his dad's wife, but as someone who mattered, shifted everything between us. From that night on, our relationship slowly changed. We started having weekly cooking nights, where we'd try new recipes. Sometimes we messed up, burned things, or ended up ordering pizza, but it didn't matter. It became our thing. When Greg came home Sunday evening, he found the house warm with the scent of leftovers and laughter. Tyler greeted him at the door, animatedly telling him about the dish he made and how Amanda helped a little but mostly just sat there looking impressed. Greg gave me a knowing look and squeezed my hand. Weeks turned into months, and the bond between Tyler and me grew stronger. He started coming to me for advice, not just school-related, but about girls, sports, and even how to deal with his dad's more stubborn moments. I became part of his circle, not just by marriage, but by trust. One day, near the end of his senior year, he handed me a sealed envelope. I opened it to find a handwritten letter. It read, Amanda, I know I don't say it enough, but thank you. Thank you for sticking around when I gave you every reason to walk away. Thank you for loving my dad and making our home feel warm. And most of all, thank you for being someone I can talk to, learn from, and look up to. You might not be my mom, but you've become one of the most important people in my life. Love. Tyler. I cried, of course. Ugly cried, holding that letter like it was made of gold. That letter is still tucked in my nightstand drawer. I read it when I'm feeling unsure, tired, or overwhelmed. It reminds me that patience, quiet love, and unwavering presence can create miracles. That a teenager who once barely looked me in the eye could grow into a young man who surprised me in every possible way. And it all started with a simple, unexpected gesture.